it is.
Where does it say that?
That in the tafsir of Jalalain, and I think it's Ibn Kathir.
Where does it say that in the verse? Well, let me read the verse. Let me read the verse.
Okay, read the verse and then go to the tafsir if you could. I use tafsir.com.
Okay. By the heaven and the nightly star, and what we will make you realize what the nightly star is. It is a star of piercing brightness. There is no soul without a vigilant angel recording everything. Let people then consider what they were created from. They were created from a spurting fluid, stemming from between the backbone and the rib cage. Surely he is fully capable of bringing them back to life on the day all secrets will be disclosed. Then one will have neither power nor any helper. Okay. So what do you think the Quran is saying there?
Right. Okay. So in those times, medical knowledge was extremely limited. So we have an example of Allah giving us a totally non-scientific description of the human body.
What's non-scientific about it?
When you go to the tafsir of Jalalain, I think Ibn Kathir as well, I can't quite remember, it mentions a woman's chest area. This is even more confusing.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the tafsir for that verse.
No. Okay. So the tafsir would be how the person of the time understood what that verse was saying, yeah? Why Jalalain?
Does Allah not understand that a woman does not have sperm coming from her chest area?
No, it doesn't.
Can I respond? You're confusing. But just one thing is, Rob, on the one hand, you say this is what Allah said. Then you quote from Jalalain, which is a tafsir or a commentary by Imam Suyuti. So, which is where this phrase comes about the some kind of liquid coming from the chest bone area of the woman. So, are you objecting? No, but we have to clarify. But we have to clarify this. Are you objecting to what Allah said in the Quran or what Imam Suyuti said in his tafsir? Please don't take the easy way out and say both. What are you specifically objecting to? What Imam Suyuti said? Or what Allah says in the Quran? They're two different things, right?
Why is Allah giving us something that's totally not corresponding with science?
I'm going to let the doctor speak now because I know you can smash this from both ends.
Okay, so I've got the Tafsir Jalalain here. It's actually one of the shortest tafsirs that we have. It's written by the two.
Could you read that, please? Could you read that, please?
Yeah, I'll read it for you. And what I'm going to say to you, actually, that it actually doesn't say what you said it says. That's the first thing. I'll read it in a second to you. Just the other thing I want to say to you is that, and this is so apologies, guys, for this.
No, go for it, bro.
No, it's fine. Yeah,
I want to show you guys.
I told you he came on to speak about this thing, and he did exactly that.
This is going to make you laugh. Yeah, this is going to make you laugh. So. This is a plug, almost a plug. If I can get rid of this thing. So this is me, believe it or not. How many years ago? 11 years ago.
SubhanAllah.
And this is a video. I used to have hair in those days. You can see, mashallah. And this is the video that says this responding to who? None other than Dr. Nabil Qureshi on this very same subject. So the title is The Quran, Embryology and Semen Production from Between the Backbones and the Ribs. A two-part video, about 10 minutes each.
What's the channel, Imran? Can you remind us the channel? Because then people can actually watch the whole video if they'd like to.
Foundational Thoughts is what it's called, but there's no new videos on it. But this is how old this question is. This is over a decade old, okay? And this is how well responded to these questions are, yeah? So, because there's nothing that you've said that I haven't responded to. So what I did was I tackled it from the scientific perspective at that time, and when I did this video, brother Nabil Qureshi, who's passed away now, unfortunately, he emailed me to say, look, that was a really good response. Let me try and get back to you, and he hasn't. Obviously, now he's no longer able to do that, but he wasn't able to respond to the points that I've made. But I went through. So I'm going to read this tafsir to you. And then we're going to. I just want to do two things: give the understanding as is the most common understanding, which is what this is talking about. Brother Mansour has mentioned this. Brother Hamza has mentioned this before. This is the most straightforward way of explaining it. Then the other way we can then tackle this is look at it from the scientific perspective. And if you look at it from the scientific perspective, you're going to be surprised, because then you're going to have to tell me what the understanding was at the time. So that, because that's the comparison that we're going to make. The second thing is that you have to then tell me how the physiology is. So to make sure that actually your understanding of how the human body works is accurate. And then we have to do a comparison of that with the Quranic statements. So let me read the Jalalain for you to see if this is what it says. So I'm going to start from verse 5. Yeah. Now the way that the Jalalain is written is it's portions of the Quran with text in between that explains it. So it's not a very deep tafsir, it's just a very superficial one. So verse 5, a man has only to look at, reflect on and consider, this is in the brackets, what he was created from. Verse 6, he was created from a spurting fluid, and then in brackets, the liquid proceeding from the sexual union of the man and the woman within the womb. Verse 7, a liquid, this is in brackets, emerging from between the backbone, in brackets, of a man and the breastbone of a woman. And he, Allah, is in brackets, certainly has the power to return him to life. And then we have continuation from there. Now, that's the tafsir. Now, what you're going to do now, in fact, I'll predict what you're going to do. You're going to try to say that his the person who's writing this, we have to accept their statements as scientific statements. That's the position that you're going to hold, which is disingenuous. And there's very good reasons to say disingenuous in this case. So I've read it for you. Sorry, I didn't know your name was
Rob.
That's it. I read it for you, Rob. So tell me, Rob, what is the point that you want to make about this? You're going to say that, as Brother Sadat said, either the tafsir is wrong, or you're going to say Allah is wrong, or both. What is it you're trying to say?
I think they're all wrong.
So you think both?
If you can tell me what this fluid is that comes from a woman's chest, I would love dearly to know. Sure. I really would.
So I don't think you do. I don't think you do want to know.
I don't at all. So let's have a look at this. My brother, step in. I'm talking a lot, so step in if you need to.
No. Please deal with this.
Okay, so the common understanding of the verse, and I'm going to bring my clear Quran for this, is that this is talking about the human being. Okay, not talking about any particular fluid, but the human being. So it says, verse 5, let the people consider what they were created from, referring to man. What is mankind, as in the term? They, mankind, were created from a spurting fluid emerging. And who was emerging? The mankind. Man is emerging from bayna sulbi wa tara'ib, between the backbone and the rib. Now, when you're saying you want to know about the breastbone, the question I'm going to ask you is, where is the word? So let me just clarify that. So this is specifically talking about human beings emerging from the between the sulb and the tara'ib, so between the backbone and the rib, and this is the birth of man. Essentially, this is what it's referring to. But let's look at it from a scientific perspective. They're saying that this fluid, this gushing fluid, comes from bayna, between sulb wa tara'ib. Now the question is, what are these two words referring to? So we have the translation in English, but I want you to give me a translation of where you get the understanding of what these words are.
Just from reading the Quran and the tafsir.
Okay, so you've read the Quran and the tafsir, and that's the only thing that you've understood from it.
Yeah, but I cannot, correspond this with science whatsoever. What liquid are we talking about comes from a woman's chest?
Okay. So let me clarify for you.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Let me clarify for you. So the word sulb refers specifically to the male member. Now, all you need to do is grab a Quran, any Arabic dictionary that's old, so Lane's lexicon, whatever you want to refer to, and that's what I refer to in the talk that I gave. And you want to look up these two words, sulb and tara'ib. Okay. Now, the word tara'ib, we know from Taj al-Urs and other dictionaries that deal with rare words, because it's actually a very rare word. It's an unusual word. The word tara'ib, and if you want to see evidence of this, just look at Muhammad Assad's translation of this word tara'ib, and he actually makes a note that this is a very rare word, and what it really means is arch of bones, and this is why commonly it's translated as ribs, but actually it doesn't mean ribs; it means arch of bones, and also in the Taj al-Urs, this is specified, and even in Lane's lexicon, is specified as being specifically something that is found in women. Okay, now that's another thing with this word that is specifically found, something that's found in women. Now, obviously, ribs are found in men and women. So it can't be talking about ribs, right? So the question is, which other arch of bones is there that this is referring to then? So there's only one other arch really of bones that we have, and this is the pelvis, yeah? And the female pelvis is specifically different from the male pelvis because of this process of childbirth that we're aware of. Now this is...
I'm pretty sure it says breastbones. I'm pretty sure it says breastbone from memory.
It's not written in English.
To you why it's not breastbone. Are you not listening, Rob?
It's not written in English, Rob. That's the problem. So what you're doing is you're saying, I will only allow you to tell me the meaning of the English translation.
No. I'm coming from a scientific point
No.
of view.
We're getting to the science, but first you have to get past the language.
Rob, Imran has just explained to you, when you go to the Arabic, it can't be referring to breastbone. Did you understand what he said, or would you want to hear him say it again? So I think what we have to do with you, Rob, is underline as we go.
Yeah.
So you can't keep that.
Is a rare Arabic word that refers to arch of bones that is specific to women.
But what is this fluid? What is it?
I'll come to it. I'll explain to you.
Rob, what you're saying, please.
So I'm explaining to you why your understanding isn't right, but you seem to be struggling with listening to it and hearing the differences.
I'm struggling to understand what this fluid is already.
Yeah, because I haven't got to the
fluid.
Struggling
to understand what the bones are. Forget the fluid.
Rob, do you want to understand?
I would love to know what bones in a woman this fluid comes from.
Rob, will you stop
lying to
yourself saying you'd love to know? You don't want to know. You're just trying to fuel the narrative. Okay,
Hamza, I thought about converting to Islam a few times.
Rob, please, I've spoke to you. Yeah, I'm going to show I'm going to give the link to the video so people can see your disingenuousness, your insincerity.
Well, anyway, Muslims, Hamza, Muslims have asked me.
If your question
Muslims have asked me,
Rob,
Muslims have asked me for a part 2.
I'm not sure what Muslims have asked you. I'm not interested in what Muslims have asked you. What I'm saying to you, Rob, if you were sincere, you would say, "Oh, Dr. Imran, I wasn't aware that them bones wasn't referring to the breastbone. It's referring to the pelvis, is it? Okay, fair enough. So the bones is the pelvis. Continue, doctor. Is this fluid coming from the pelvis? That's what you should be saying."
So there's another issue as well, Rob, in the way you've explained this. So it doesn't say that the liquid comes from the bones. It says baina. What does baina mean?
No, I'm not an Arabic speaker.
Well, this is the problem, you see, because it's not saying from, it's saying between. Baina means between. I live baina baital, baina masjid. It means you live between the house and the mosque. And this is what it's saying. It's in baina sulbi wa tara'ib. So it's between. The liquid comes from between.
But what is this liquid, doctor? What is this liquid?
But this is the thing. I'll come to it. I'll explain what the liquid is in the man and the woman.
Are you thirsty, Rob? Are you thirsty? You're obsessed by liquid.
I'm gonna make a cup of tea after this debate. I'm gonna make a cup of tea after this debate.
Get a cup of tea, and then we can talk about this liquid for you. Yeah,
Rob, you concede that the bones is not talking about the breastbone; it's talking about the pelvic bone. Do you concede that, or do we need to establish that?
When I read the tafsir, I'm pretty sure I remember something about a breastbone.
Okay, whatever you've remembered, the doctors explained to you how it cannot be referring to the breastbone; it can only be referring to the pelvic bone.
I mean, it's easy to find. It's on tafsir.com, but yeah.
Yeah, I think the confusion, brothers, I think the confusion is arising from the fact that Rob is still referencing the English translation of the tafsir of Jalalain. He's talking about the tafsir of Jalalain, whereas Dr. Imran is going back to the original source. He's talking about the Arabic of the Qur'an. So, Rob, have you understood that right now, we're not discussing the English translation of Jalalain. Right now, Dr. Imran is explaining to you the terminology that is used in the Qur'an. He's explaining the meanings of the Arabic words in the Qur'an. We have to be on the same page about that, right?
Well, we just need to establish what this liquid is.
Yeah, we can. So there's two ways of doing this, Rob. So one way is go and watch the video I did 11 years ago, and that will tell you exactly. I've answered this question exactly. Or if you've got the time and if you're interested, I can explain it to you and try and explain it. So I'm trying to remember back 10 years and explain it to you what I knew then. What would you like me to do? Do you want to go and watch the video?
No. I've got two other questions, by the way. He's not going to. I mean, they're fairly brief. If you'll be able to answer them, but yeah,
no chance. Not even having no chance. You've asked a basic question that's been batted out the park so many times, and it's been broken down, and you can't even grasp it. So if you try to ask something a little bit more technical on it, we're wasting our time.
But so I thought this was a forum. I thought this was a forum where we could ask what we wanted. Really.
No, you can ask what you want, but if you demonstrate disingenuousness and insincerity, we're not going to waste our time with you.
Darren, Hamza, it's just questions. I mean, that nobody's been rude, nobody's been offensive.
Rob, what you've got to realize, Rob, is that we have
limited time.
A lot of people waiting in the chat to try to get on to ask questions. Now, the thing here is this, Rob. If you ask a question, and just like Hamza said, that what an honest person would do, Rob, and I challenge people to say whether I'm being unfair here or not. What an honest person would do, Rob, is that as Imran, being a medical doctor and understanding Arabic more than you, starts to explain to you what this actually means, that you'd actually listen attentively.
Oh, the liquid, yeah, fine, yeah,
right?
That's fine.
You'd listen attentively.
Yeah, the liquid. Yeah, the liquid.
Listen attentively, and then you would say, actually, you know what? Maybe I misunderstood that. But you're not prepared to do
the
that.
Liquid, yeah. No, I am. I would be happy to hear what this liquid is. So that would be good.
Okay, I'll tell you what it is.
Oh, go on. And then say bye, Rob.
This is actually just a screenshot from the video that I did in part 2, where it explains where the word tara'ib and why I say it's unusual. This is Lane's lexicon. It's talking about this. It says that tara'ib relates to males and females in common, but most of the authors on strange words, so this is like I said, it is an unusual, rare word, affirm decidedly that it is peculiar to women. It is something specific to women. The word tara'ib is specific to women. Now this is written in, I think, in the 1700s by Professor Lane, and it's basically a non-Muslim work, so the Muslims haven't done this, and it's not it's very straightforward. This is what it means. It's a rare word, and it applies specifically to women. So this, I just want you to see that. This is within the video. You can go and have a look at this. Now, so the question you're asking is, okay, if the sulb I'm telling you refers to the man, and the tara'ib refers to the woman. Between these two places, a liquid is released by either. So the man has a liquid that's released, and the woman has a liquid that release that go on then to form the human being. This is the claim. This is the scientific way of looking at the same verse. Okay. The question you're asking is, which liquid is it that comes from a woman that would fulfill this idea of a gushing fluid, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The answer's in the video, but I'm going to give you the summary of this. Before I do that, I'm going to spend 30 seconds telling you what the understanding at the time was of in the 7th century was of reproduction, and this is sort of Aristotelian and type of understanding. And what was it? This is what you'd expect the Quran to be talking about, right? This is what you'd expect to see if the Quran was copying inaccurate information from the people of the time, because that information definitely wasn't accurate, because Aristotle was wrong and Galen was wrong on reproduction. The idea that so Aristotle had this idea that there were humors, so that would be like a heat and a cold and an earth that would move together and gel to form the human being, and these would solidify in different ways. And Galen's understanding was almost that this was like the human being was almost preformed, like in a seed, like an acorn is for an oak tree, and it was implanted into the soil of the woman. The woman really just the receivers, the judge would receive this seed, and the being would grow. Both of these are wrong. The Quran here is saying something very profound. The man contributes something, and the woman contributes something that then form the human being. Far beyond anything, this is not understood at that time, that the women are also contributing to the human being. That's in that sense, they were just receptacles, i.e., they were just the soil in which the seed would grow. So these are profound differences. Now, we understand what the liquid that comes from the sulb of the man is. This is the semen. Some people, very strangely, seem to believe that the sperm is made. The sperm comes from the testicles when that time of copulation happens. Do you think, is that what you think, Rob?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay, so that's factually incorrect. Okay, when you ejaculate, sorry, brothers and sisters, I have to be a bit. The semen does not come. The sperm does not come from your testicles. Okay, the testicles are a place where the sperm is made. They are then moved from this place up the vas deferens into an area called the name has gone out. The seminal vesicles. The seminal vesicles sit just above the bladder, so above your bladder, so probably just around your belly button area, slightly below that, but inside. And in this area is where the sperm is stored until it needs to be used. So then what happens? So then obviously you have intercourse, and the sperm only makes up 2% of the final volume of what's ejaculated. 98% of it comes from the prostate gland, which sits just in the base near your behind, and it almost acts as a lubricant to take the sperm into the area that it needs to go to. So even this understanding that you have, I mean, so you're complaining about scientific statements, and you're thinking that the sperm is ejaculated from the testicles, which is completely wrong, Rob. So I would say that you're not.
My understanding is that the sperm from the testicles is possibly joined with another type of liquid that you've described. That's okay at a stretch. That's okay at a stretch. But where I think where it falls down is to say it comes from a woman.
I'm going to tell you that about. Rob, I'm coming to that. I haven't even got there.
Just a second, Rob. Just listen.
Rob, do you have children, Rob?
Rob, just listen.
Rob,
yes,
you have
yeah,
children.
I do, yeah.
This is what you just said.
That's a miracle, Rob.
Abbas, 1 second, Rob.
But my wife certainly didn't have sperm coming out of her anyway.
Rob.
Not that in that description.
Rob, you just said, I understand. Just 1 second. You just said, I understand that the sperm's in the testicles and another fluid joins it in the testicles. That's what you said, right? That's how you understand it.
I've kind of done a little bit of research, and I think there is 2 different types of fluid that joins and is expelled.
Joins where?
Scientifically, it just doesn't apply to a woman.
Rob, we're underlining as we go. Joins where?
As the doctor has described.
Where?
Possibly somewhere in the region of the lower, much lower backbone. Possibly.
No.
But like I say, at a stretch, fine. You could stretch it. You could stretch it for a man, but for a woman, it's just not stretchable. You can't. It doesn't match up with science.
Rob, stop trying to eat all the cake. We're giving you a piece by piece, okay? So now, you said, I understand. This is what you just said. I understand the sperm is joined by another liquid in the testicles. Now you've changed it, agreeing with the doctor. But you're not agreeing with the doctor because you try. I don't know why you're trying to make it lower for some reason. He's just
I don't agree with the woman description.
Let's continue with the man first. We're underlining as we go here, Rob. Okay. So where does this liquid mingle in the man?
As the doctor has described.
Right. So you're happy with that, yeah?
Somewhere below. I think it's at the front of the body, possibly, just somewhere below the area of the spine.
Forget your DIY biology. Okay, doctor, where does the sperm join? Or join this other liquid? Or this other liquid join it?
Okay, let me just explain. I don't know if you've ever had so the sperm is stored not in the testicles. It's stored in somewhere called the in the seminal vesicles, which sit around near the top of the bladder. Okay, to the sides and the top of the bladder. Okay, so that's where the sperm is stored. Okay, now at the moment of ejaculation, what happens is that these are squeezed, and there's other glands that are along the tube that goes to eventually comes out at the end of the penis, that things like the Cowper glands that add mucus, but essentially goes to the prostate, and the prostate then releases the extra fluid that forms the semen. So the sperm becomes the semen as it's coming out. Now the prostate, if you ever need to go and have yourself examined for a prostate exam, which is not recommended, the way it's examined is you have a finger, unfortunately, inserted into your backside. because that's the way you feel for the prostate gland. For those of you who don't know, then now you know. So the idea that this is somewhere sort of, very superficial, or this is a strange thing, but that's talking about the man. But when we're coming, you wanted to know about the woman, right?
We'll underline that part. So you agree with that, Rob?
That's right. Yeah. I'm stretching it. I will at a stretch. I will agree with the doctor for the man, but the woman is still a complete mystery.
Okay, Rob.
First thing is,
sorry, this is
a stretch. He's just give you a doctor's description, explaining exactly. It's not an opinion. It's not based on his whims and desires. It's not whether you agree or not. It is what it is. So you can't say at a stretch I'll accept a doctor's diagnosis. You say, fair enough, he's a doctor, he's qualified, he would know where these glands are. I bow to his superior knowledge on this issue. Be sincere, be genuine. Yeah?
Hamza,
in biology, right?
Hamza, I've given credit to the doctor's description of a man. But I'm not going to give credit regarding the description of the woman.
We don't need your credit, mate, and we don't need your validation. All we need to do, all we've done so far is this: demonstrated your understanding of sperm in the man is wrong, and the doctor's corrected you and put you in the right position. Now we can move on. It's not whether you accept it or you'll take it as a stretch.
I agree with him anyway.
So just move on. Right, doctor, continue, mate.
Not regarding the woman. The description of the woman.
We're not talking about the woman right now, are we? We're talking about the man, aren't we?
Well, the woman was included in the point.
We're talking about the man right now, aren't we? The sperm.
Well, the woman is included in the point.
The man right now, though, aren't we?
So, Rob, you seem to be fighting sort of basic biology, and I think that's a problem that we're having here. Well,
I don't think the description of the woman matches any scientific basis.
Rob, have I mentioned the woman yet? Rob, have I mentioned the woman yet?
Well, I'm waiting. So
it's really interesting that you seem to be objecting that I haven't spoken about the woman yet, when I haven't spoken about the woman yet. I'm talking about the man because even that needed explaining. Because you thought at one stage that the semen came from the testicles when you ejaculate. I mean, that's just.
Well, I'm still wondering what this liquid is that's coming from a woman's body.
Right. So
that it's describing,
Right, Rob. Because I'm not going to make this easy on Rob. I'm not making it easy at all. Okay. So you now accept the man's side. Now you're saying that when it talks about the woman's side, you're saying that doesn't exist. Is that what you're saying, Rob?
It's still, at this point, it's a mystery to me.
All right. Well, explain to me what you know about women's biology and fluids and stuff and reproduction.
I've got a basic knowledge. I'm not saying that I'm
on ejaculation, what happens?
Well, the doctor's already outlined that.
No. When the man ejaculates into the woman, what happens?
The two fluids meet.
Which two fluids?
In the man's body? The sperm and the there's a word for it, but I can't remember. The doctor would know the word.
Okay, the semen enters the woman.
For this other fluid, I think they mix and then they're ejected.
Right.
Okay. So apart. Okay. So Hamza, you're a married man. Okay. So apart from the lubrication of your wife,
in that, I'm talking about you.
With all due respect,
here's what you're saying. You're saying the Qur'an.
What on earth is this liquid that is coming out of the female?
Right. So you're saying there's no
apart from lubrication purposes. I don't want to get too deep into it, but
okay. So Rob, what happens when the semen ejaculates into the woman in the reproduction? What happens?
You don't have to go there. It's not necessary.
Oh, I got them.
It's not necessary.
Well, you're like an expert on women's biology.
Well, apart from proceeding up into the womb, it's certainly not meeting with her sperm. So, that's all I can say on that.
Sperm? Where'd you get that from?
Well, we're trying to establish what this liquid is that's coming out of a woman.
Where'd you get meeting with her sperm from? What the hell's that?
Well, the liquid that's proceeding out of the woman that it mentions in the tafsir.
You're muted, Imran.
Sorry, Rob, my friend, you're sort of losing credibility here. So let me try and explain it to you. And if you can sort of just allow me to do that, because you're sort of struggling, you're fighting with the explanation. I understand why, because it's not going the way you would like it to go, and that's the problem, you see.
So it's still a mystery to me, Doctor.
Yeah, I'm gonna demystify you in 1 second. Let me just demystify you in 1 second.
Mystery to me.
Okay, so I've explained to you about the fluid from the man, and I've explained to you about the position of this, which is not where you thought it was coming from. So let's continue from there, shall we? So let me just share it. I'm going to do my favorite thing today. I'm going to share a screen. So let me share a screen with you, Rob. Have a look at the screen, yeah? So this is the Muhammad Assad translation. Yeah. This is the Muhammad Assad translation, yeah? It says, talking about verse 86:7, it talks about this fluid issuing from between the loins of the man and the pelvic arch of the woman. So I specified this word tara'ib as something specific to the woman. Now, if you look at the note that he makes, this is what he says, and this is just confirms what I was saying from the Lane's lexicon. The plural noun tara'ib, rendered by me as pelvic arch, also has the meaning of ribs or arch of bones, according to most authorities who have specialized in the etymology of rare Quranic expressions. This term relates specifically to female anatomy. Okay, so this is evidence for you, another piece of evidence for you on top of everything else that's explained, that this word tara'ib that you're saying is ribs is something that's specific to the female anatomy, i.e. it's not ribs as you understand it, and we're referring to arch of bones. Now the question you're asking, and let's sort of get back to the question, is in the formation of the human being, what liquid is it that could be coming from the woman? What can this possibly be? And we're not talking about the lubrication, because that doesn't help.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about. So that your problem here is Rob, is that you don't know enough about the female anatomy or any anatomy to be able to even have an opinion on the subject. But you're insisting that there is a scientific error on the science you don't understand. So the question I'm asking you is in conception, i.e. when that happens, what happens, you get the sperm and then you get the egg, right? When the egg is released from the woman, how does that happen? How do you know? How does that happen, Frank? Sorry, I keep calling you Frank, but Rob, how does that happen?
Is it not right? You calling him Frank?
Yeah.
I mean,
you know how that happens?
Well, you're talking about the egg specifically.
Yeah.
Which travels from the fallopian tubes.
How does it?
I assume it travels somehow pushed out from her body.
How? Sorry, Rob. This is the problem, Rob.
And just one thing, I'm pretty sure it's I'm not sure if it's the Tafsir Jalalain or it's possibly Ibn Kathir, possibly.
Talk about the science, mate. Talk about the science, mate.
I'm sure it mentions breastbone. It mentions breastbone.
Rob, can I just say one thing?
Without having it in front of me, I'm pretty sure it mentions breastbone.
Rob, can I just say one thing quickly? Hamza, can I just say one thing? Yeah, Rob, I'm really happy that you're not my doctor.
he basically Rob,
I've never claimed to be a doctor. But I do know.
Why don't you listen to one then, Rob? Why don't you listen to one?
I do know that sperm does not come from a woman.
Why don't you listen to one then, Rob?
Guys, give me 1 second, please. Please give me 1 second. So Rob, neither the Quran nor anyone else has said that the sperm comes from the woman. You just keep repeating this thing as if you think this is what it says. Now, the problem here is that it's disingenuous. I've told you specifically what the Quran is saying. I've talked about the Arabic words. I've referred to sulb and I've referred to tara'ib. I've explained to you where the sperm is coming from, how semen is made, really specifically for you. And in a way, obviously, you didn't understand that before. Now you do. Now we're talking about the female anatomy. We're talking about a fluid, yeah? Ma'in dafiq, a fluid, not sperm. It doesn't say sperm anywhere in that whole scenario. It doesn't say it. Ma'in dafiq, yeah? Now you have a problem here that you need it to be sperm from a woman, but that's not what it's saying. Now, if you want to say, look, I don't want to listen to you, I just want to use this phraseology over and over again, and I'm just going to say this to Muslims who don't understand it, then that's fine, Rob. Rob. Sorry, not Frank. Now, but the problem here is that that's not what's being referred to. We have access to the language. We have access to explanations of the language. We've specifically told you that that if you look at the word tara'ib, which is when it's talking about the woman, it's specifically talking about something which relates specifically to the female anatomy. Now you're talking about you want this fluid to be sperm in the woman, but that's not what it's saying. Now the thing here is this, and I want to just say, sorry, where's that message gone? This is the thing that you need to do. The liquid, we've got to find out about the liquid. I agree with you, Rob. So let me tell you what the liquid is, so that then that will put this, hopefully, this to no pun intended, but put this thing to bed, right? So this is the understanding. So when you as the woman goes through her monthly cycle, she develops follicles on her ovaries. Okay, follicles are those, if you imagine, like little bubbles, and they contain the genetic material. Plus, it's a ball with something within it. I'll come to that, because you know what? It's a fluid. And what happens to that follicle is that when it's the time of the month, usually sort of middle of the cycle, this will rupture. It bursts. And when it bursts, it's taken into the fallopian tube, and the fallopian tube has these sort of little fingers, almost like that pull the liquid along and the material with it along. Now, that liquid is called follicular fluid. It's slightly yellow in color. And this is what propels this egg along the fallopian tubes to the womb. Now, what do we have? What do we have here now? We have the sperm being propelled by the liquid from the seminal vesicles with the prostatic liquid out. We have the genetic material over the egg being propelled by the follicular fluid through the fallopian tubes to the womb. Oh, you know what? We got two liquids propelling the genetic material that formed a human being from a man and from a woman.
Wow.
Now that is scientifically accuracy from 1,400 years ago, from a guy who lived in the desert, peace be upon him, who could not read or write, and if he had copied the information available to him at the time, would have got it wrong.
So are you saying that is the monthly time when the egg comes out?
Rob, you know what, Rob? No. I think you, at this stage, Rob, if you had any genuine bone in your body about this subject, Rob, you would have said, you know what, lads? You would have said, me in 2021 got it all wrong, but this man in the desert in the 7th century who was illiterate and was only known for herding goats, and then later in his life as a businessman, as a trader, got it right. Allahu Akbar. That's all I can say.
All right, Rob.
Well, I'm sure the tafsir says
lovely speaking to you, Rob.
Neck bone,
interesting.
Breastbone.
Rob,
I'm sure the tafsir
says exactly what the doctor said. That's it. Alas. Flipping heck. Again, I can hear the echoes of the mic.
You know, subhanAllah, I'm happy that actually we had to go through all that rigmarole, because to the doubters out there, subhanAllah, if you look at that, a man in the desert in the 7th century, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where was he getting this information from? Subhanallah. Where? I mean, can you imagine even a farmer today who was illiterate today in 2021, right? A farmer who's illiterate would be able to make these type of statements? I mean, Rob comes here researching this subject, thinking he's got something extraordinary, and then he doesn't even know the very basics of biology.
Right. Some people might have thought I was harsh with Rob, right? People thought, oh, let Imran speak. But I know Rob, yeah? And you see this I've put on the screen here, Freemasonic Influence on the Bible. This is a video of a debate I had with Rob in Speaker's Corner years ago. And you want to see what he just did today, this acting all sincere and genuine, yeah, getting peeled away like an orange. Just take that comment off a sec, whoever put that comment on, just for a sec. Oh my giddy aunt. Right. So take note of that. Freemasonic Influence on the Bible. It's on EF Dower. Yeah. Go check it out now. Copy the link to watch later, or mark it down, yeah. And you'll see Rob in the flesh coming up to me in the park acting all innocent, getting shredded and peeled like an orange. And by the end of it, he's been exposed completely. And this is when it came on here now, I just thought he's going to do exactly the same thing. And that's why I gave him no quarter. And I was underlining as we go, because I know how he likes to keep jumping back. And Imran, alhamdulillah, you smashed it on every angle.
Alhamdulillah.
And that was just superb. Alhamdulillah. Anyone who heard that now, will know how to respond to this ridiculous claim, and this argument will die a death because the Christians will realize it's absolutely useless.
But I just want to make the point. You're absolutely right that this is. You can imagine. I made a video on this over a decade ago, and this is still going around. And this is one of the reasons why I actually stopped doing videos, was I realized how insincere people are. That they will. So he may now no longer. He will never approach me with this question, or Brother Hamza, or Brother Abbas, or Nazam. But I'm 100% sure. Yeah. If he came across a Muslim who didn't know this roughly, he would go and he would bring the same thing up again.
Well, I've seen it in the park, Imran. I've seen it in the park so many times.
This is the thing. So there's lots of things that I mean, we are all standing on the shoulders of great people. I mean, even this knowledge I've obtained, and obviously I've learned from my teachers, etc., over time. But but about the Arabic, I'm relying on the translation by Brother Muhammad Asad, and we're looking at the Taj al-Urus, and all of these resources are available. So this is the whole point, that people, they're not very sincere, and they will repeatedly regurgitate things because they feel that it's a point for them, not interested in truth or reality. And I hope that he takes some sense, because you have to sit down and reflect now. Look, I didn't even know how a man produces, where the sperm comes from. He didn't know this, really. No. And this is, if you don't have that level of information, then I think that you need to stop making scientific claims about the Quran.
Now, this Ice Queen has been in the comment section, right, supporting Rob the whole way. And even now, 1 minute ago, said that Tarib means collarbone. Yeah. I mean, because only women have collarbones, right?
Up here.
Where did that come from? I mean, it went from the ribs to the collar. Yeah. Absolute mental.
But you can see that the verse, I mean, the Muhammad Asad in his translation, he specifically puts a footnote that says Dara'ib is specific to women. He says it really is.
Professor Abdul Halim as well. I think that's the same as well.
The same thing, mashallah.
Now, as soon as someone says Tassi Jalalain,
does that mean I'm a woman? I don't know. It's really sad, and that's your claim.
I've noticed every single time a Christian tries to bring tafsir, they always bring Jalalain. Always. As soon as someone says, "Oh, in tafsir Jalalain," I'm thinking, "Why are you reading tafsir Jalalain?" Because it says what you want it to say, or you think it says what you want it to say.
You think, yeah.
Subhanallah, that was. I love
it. Isn't it, Imran? From your doctor's point of view, and you've obviously studied this, mashallah. Was there any conceivable way that a man in the 7th century could have relayed this information, and so many other similar things that we find in the Quran, never yet once making a mistake? Subhanallah. Is that even conceivable? Is that even possible, Imran?
I mean, this is why I mentioned Aristotle and Galen. You have to look at what was available at the time, and if you look at what was available at the time. This was someone, and this is another thing about if this prophet, peace be upon him, God forbid, was a liar, then he would have, the only source of information would have been what was locally available to him.
Yeah.
And if you take that information that was locally available, it would have been wrong.
Yeah.
And you know what's even more bizarre is that Dr. Keith Moore, an embryologist, said that because of these verses in the Quran, that's why he believes it's from God.
Yeah.
And he's an embryologist, and Rob's hasn't a clue about the science, just says the Quran's wrong about the science, and as you said it beautifully, you're saying the Quran's wrong about a science that you yourself have no knowledge of.
Subhanallah.
I don't know if it's worth mentioning, like the Quran is revelation from Allah, a book of guidance. It's not intended to be a scientific book or teach us cosmology or biology. And even this particular surah, there's like a larger theme behind it. in that it's pointing to the physical phenomena around us, and as well as reminding us of our humble origin and pointing to the greatness and power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
It was beautiful.
The whole surah 86, not just that verse, but the entire surah. It's not too long as well. So,
Subhanallah.
Who we got next then?
Hello.
Sorry, just before you go on, just give me 1 second, please. So if it's really worth reading the last portion of that surah. And I'm just going to, it's only a few lines. I'm just going to read it. Really, it's very important. And it talks about, and this is sort of, so here we go. Verse 8, yeah. Surely he is fully capable of bringing them back to life, talking about human beings. On the day all secrets will be disclosed, then one will have neither power nor any helper. By the star and its returning recurring cycles, and the earth and its sprouting plants. Surely this Quran is a decisive word, and it is not to be taken lightly. They are certainly devising evil plans, but I too am planning. So bear with the disbelievers, O Prophet. Let them be just for a little while.
SubhanAllah.
Really powerful.
Dream.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
So I'm kind of disturbed by the